My name is Bumi Shonde.
My name is Kingsley Onoha.
Day 6 FSC. Tomorrow I become an associate. In finance, we learned this amazing method, JAR method, something I never knew. Our emotions control our spending.
We're meant to understand concerning sex that people are meant to enjoy sex.
Sex is not a mystery or a cult to be pushed behind.
Today we learned about vision, how to talk about your vision, your mission for a family.
How can we make Nigeria better? Starts with the family.
The class has been very friendly, very awakening,
I am so grateful for this course.
I'm so happy that I came for this course. The Family System Engineering Certification course. Glad I'm part of this course.
FSC, it's been a full circle with better understanding in relating with my fellow brothers.
We are global heroes. We rise!
A nation to exist, you need to have ethos, you need to have values, you need to have vision. We don't have any of those. So if you don't have any of those things, how do you say you exist?
I'm glad to be here. I must say that I've gained a lot.
My experience has been fantastic, has been wonderful.
It's an experience that every family, which is considered a nation here, should experience.
Just like I said, when they asked me that one thing about the whole course, I tell them reconstruction.
I've learned some specific things. One of them being that a man is a function of the raw material with which he was built. One of the things I also learned is how in marriage there is a battle of culture. There's a conflict of culture.
Our background, our environment, and our experiences in life actually determines the state at which we are now.
Hello everyone, and good afternoon if you're in Africa. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching this from. I'm so excited to be your host today in the second session of the African Family Life Delegate Conference 2020, the first e-conference. And my name is Chunu Tejuri Jerry, but popularly called TJ. I'm excited to be your host today. The first session was amazing. We had my friend and big sister Dima take us through the session with Kulishori. And if you have not watched that edition, you need to go back and have a replay. It's online. Just look for IFED Academy on YouTube, and you will have the you partake in the amazing, interesting conversations that went on in that session. So once again, you are welcome to this edition. Today is the 15th of May, and we celebrate the UN International Day of the Family. The UN International Day of the Family has an interesting theme this year, which is families in development. However, while families develop, we at the iPad Academy, we have a theme that is the future of the family. What is the family developing into? I bet some of you have been having issues, like probably I have been at home, having to stay with my own family longer than I've ever done in my whole entire life as a man or as a family man. Okay, so every day we are used to waking up. By the way, I should ask you, have you been keeping safe? I forgot to ask you, please keep safe. Ensure you follow the precautionary measures as prescribed by the World Health Organization. Now back to my story before I welcome the founder of this institute. I had to stay with my family 7 days a week. And I started discovering that there were still skills that I needed to learn. I thought I had it all until the pandemic made me realize I need to learn. Also, the family is evolving. Many of us are working from home. We may not return back to our workplaces. Whichever the case is, it's going to affect our family. Do we have the right skills? Do we know how to position ourselves? Do we know how to drive our families in these new realities to achieve the desired goals that we have for our families? These and more conversations we'll be having in today's session. We have our guests from the US who's waiting to come up. We also have our panelists who also are all waiting, lined up to come. So ensure you can share this link as you're watching, copy the link, put across your networks, ensure you get your friends and all the families that you want to get into the future of our families will be with you as we proceed. So I'm going to be handing over this to the founder of the Family Life Conference, Praise Fowowe. So over to you, Praise Fowowe.
Good afternoon, TJ, and good afternoon, everyone. It's such an awesome privilege for me to be kickstarting the second session. Now, the International Day of the Family is a day dedicated to all the families across the globe. It's a United Nations special day dedicated to families across the globe. Now, we started this journey 4 years ago when we discovered that it was a day that just goes by in Nigeria and nothing seems to, get done, right? So we came together as practitioners of family systems engineering, and we began to talk about we needed to organize our sector, our industry, and that was why we held the first ever conference, Family Life, African Family Life Delegate Conference, and then we had a fantastic time. We did the second one, we did the third one last year, and this fourth one, we started planning since last year. We did not know that COVID was going to happen, and when we're going to pick the team, we thought about the future. We looked at the trends, because if you have attended any of our classes, anyone who has been through any of our certification courses, will tell you that one of the things we are prepared our people for is the year 2040. Everything we do in class is actually preparing people for the year 2040. And one of the things we did say clearly was that the future was going to change, right? We said that clearly, that the future was going to change, and we needed to prepare ahead so that we can position into the future and take hold of the future and lead the future. So people come to our class, they know that there was a particular documentary we showed consistently, which is the new business of the paradigm, which says when the paradigm shift happens, everything resets itself to zero. That's exactly where we are right now, where COVID has happened, new rules of engagement, everything is going to change. Now, the aim of this conference, this particular one, we chose the theme, the future of family life, opportunities and threats, because a lot of people, especially in Africa, are fixated on what they've always known, the definition of male, the definition of female. I did a research many years ago, and I discovered that the 25 worst countries to live in, right, are countries who still believe in gender inequality. And the 25 best countries to live in are countries that believe in gender equality. As a matter of fact, 7 out of the worst 10 countries to live in are actually African countries. And that made my heart sink to say, you know what, we should be able to have something to offer the world as Africans. And one of the things that as the institute level, we are ruthlessly focused on within the next few years is to reduce the error rate of people when it comes to making a choice of who to marry. And that's why we keep researching to create new sets of psychometry tools that intending couples can go through, and by going through it, it would reveal everything about their lives, what they need to work on. It would actually accurately predict what will happen in the future if they don't change it. Now, already we have created what we call Oyela. Oyela, what it has done is that it has improved the accuracy rate of many of our practitioners. Before you can talk to a family life coach or a family life professional, you will need to go and sit in their offices. They will need to listen to you. But with Oyela that we created, which is a 4-way psychometric test, you do not even need to sit in front of them. Once you send in your psychometry, your completed assessment, they can analyze it, and it's 96% accurate. It's almost like magical. It picks your life, it picks what is going wrong with you. Already that has been applauded in several other countries of the world. One of the things we set out to do is to create the kind of family life professional humanity deserves. And that's our ruthless focus at the Institute of Family System and at the Institute of Family Engineering and Development Africa. Now, what we want to do is to create the future, give you the kind of professionals that humanity deserves, which is why every person who graduates from our institute, they can function in any culture of the world. They are the best version you will find anywhere in Africa or anywhere in the world. Right now, if you look at the top family life professionals in Nigeria, most of them are alumnus of the Institute of Family Engineering and Development. And we know right now we have about 500 plus who has taken this course, but we need a lot more. We have a lot more to do, which is why as we begin to talk about this year's conference, we need to begin to push the boundaries for the future to say, what are the threats? The threat of artificial intelligence is there. The threat of the Gen Z is there. And you heard a lot about that in the first session, but I don't need you to panic. One thing that I know is going to happen is that the future is going to be led by LQ, where LQ is love quotient. The future is going to be powered by systems intelligence, which is why any family that is not driven by system, that is driven by emotion, is going to lose. The families that are system driven will win because they will run like a production line and be able to create a predictable future based on the systems they have created. One of the things we consistently say is that your family must be built on a system, which is why we talk about family governance. Family governance helps your family to clearly articulate the kind of governance system you're on. Are you running autocracy? Are you running democracy? Or are you running a team-based family system? You need to talk about your family economy. The family economic system during COVID already showed that a typical family in Africa cannot survive, their economy cannot survive beyond 1 month. Which is why, even at the risk of our life, we are all shouting for the government to lift the lockdown because we can't literally survive. Now, if you create a family economic system, you will create a robust system that can stand the test of time, stand the test of any crisis, stand the test of recession, depression, or what have you. Now, you talk about the family communication system, which creates how we should address ourselves. A typical African family shouts on themselves, right? We shout even when we're talking to ourselves. When we want to correct ourselves, we shout. But that's not how to talk to people. We talk, we don't communicate because we have not articulated the perceptual code of a typical family. So, for example, if you say your family is a family of royalty, how do you talk to royalties? How do you correct royalties? How do you raise royalties? These are fundamental questions you need to ask, among several other systems that you need to create. In fact, one of the most important is your family security system, which is the immigration system that says you do not give permanent residency to anybody in your family without testing them through visit residency, which means you want to test their character to be sure that their character aligns with what you and where you want to go with your life. If it doesn't align, then you cannot give them permanent residency in your home. And what we say is anyone who troubles you or your wife is a domestic terrorist, and you do not negotiate with them. Now, these are some of the things we begin to talk about as we hope to take position in the future. There are threats, but there are opportunities. The biggest opportunity of the family life of the future is that for the first time, everyone is at the same level. And the whole world is looking for that continent or that nation that can create a system that can power people's happiness. And we are glad to announce to you that that's the research we've done. And for the first time, I believe that Africa has all it takes when it comes to effective family system to lead the rest of the world. Divorce rate in America is at an all-time high. In Belgium, it's almost like 75% in different nations of the world. But in Africa, we still believe in the concept of Ubuntu, even though the divorce rate is rising right now. But what we believe is that we have something to offer the world. We can lead the future. And that future will be led starting from your family, which means the old syllabus will crash, the new syllabus will come up, but it's a syllabus that we will power, right? That if you power your family using the family system engineering template, then in the nearest future, by the year 2040, you will be among the happiest people on earth. That's what this is all about. So I'm glad that we have welcomed amazing professionals. Olakunle Shorian session was off the hook at the first session. We've had Pastor Godman Akilabi, we've had Arole, and Dima did a fantastic job. This second session, we shall be welcoming Dr. Margaret Matara. I mean, that's one of the person I respect the most in the field of family life coaching. And we're going to have Adesuwa Inekwe and Julie Mobile and yours truly. So please relax, enjoy this conference. Don't just enjoy it, take notes. Don't just take notes, practicalize what you're learning, and let's create the future together. It's Ubuntu. And Ubuntu means I am because you are. There is no me without you. Whatever I do against you, I do against myself. The new competition is collaboration. Africa must collaborate. If you go around the world, you will see Indians collaborate to take spaces, buy up streets. You will see Chinese take up spaces to buy up streets, because every time they leave their country is because they want to expand the frontiers of their country. When Africans leave Africa, it's because we're trying to run away, which is why we never collaborate to do greater things abroad. Now is the time to begin to do that, wherein your family becomes a new nation, wherein you become the ancestor of a new generation. For the first time, that generation is here of Africans who will collaborate to do greater things together, rebuild the future of Africa. Every leader troubling Africa is from our family. It's time to raise new sets of leaders who will lead the future. The best of us must begin to lead the rest of us. Thank you very much for joining me and for listening to this. I will be back during my session, during the plenary session. Have a fantastic conference and know that I am because you are. Ubuntu. Thank you very much. God bless you. Over to TJ. Is TJ there? Okay, is my admin there? Is that your Samuel there or TJ? Okay, while I'm waiting for TJ, I think he's having a network challenge. Is Dr. Margaret ready to take a session? I think we have Dr. Margaret already online. Dr. Margaret is our session speaker. Okay, I think TJ is back. Is Dr. Margaret ready to take a session? I think we have Dr. Margaret already online. Dr. Margaret is our session speaker. Is TJ back? TJ, are you there?
So, Praise, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, can we have TJ to take over this conference now? That's our moderator. I hope it's somewhere around. I'm sorry, it seems it's having a slight network challenge. But if Dr. Margaret is ready, I think we can bring her up right now.
I'm here.
Okay, so I'm done. You can bring up, you can take it over, yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Praise. It can be very interesting how this thing just keeps keeping. But I'm thank God I am the course you are, and thank for your presentation, Praise. I took a note of certain things you said which were key, and one of the things is that Africa is the solution. It's interesting how the things that we see in movies are now coming in reality. Everyone is coming to Africa to look for the solution. Thank you very much, Praise. And I want to ask the viewers watching, do you have a system working in your home? If your answer is no, then I think you're tuned in rightly, because through this academy, the IFED Academy, and through this program, one of the things we want to ensure is that you build the right system that will deliver the future family that humanity needs. Okay, so I'll be introducing quickly our guest all the way from, I'm going to read her, permit me to just read a bit of her profile here. Margaret Matara received her doctorate from the University of Kentucky in Family Studies. She is currently a professor in the Department of Human Sciences at Tennessee State University. She teaches research, parenting, development, and family relationship classes. I'm going to pause there and just, say that's amazing. When we went to school, we never ever thought that people could be teaching parenting in school, but this is amazing. The future really is here. Dr. Matara advises human sciences students who pursue a concentration in human development and family studies. Dr. Matara is also a certified family life educator, and she is currently secretary and standards committee chair for the Family Life Coaching Association. In the past, Dr. Matara has worked in children's centers, in group homes for children, and with families of children with severe emotional disorders. Ladies and gentlemen, all around the world watching, please help me make welcome our wonderful guest to take the next session, Dr. Margaret Matara. Over to you, Doc. So while we wait for her to come.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, amazing. You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you. I am going to share my screen if that's okay with you all. And let's see.
Oh, good evening. Yeah, amazing. You're welcome.
Let's see if I can find, I might need TJ's help if I cannot find what I need.
Feel free to share your screen. Our technical guys will also help you with that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it come up the way I need it to. Are you all able to share the slides? Oh, fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, good afternoon. I have to remind myself it's afternoon there because it is morning here. So it's very comforting yet special to me to feel the connection all the way with you all from here. And TJ did a great job introducing and telling a little bit of my background, but I'm going to talk a little bit about that also and tell you who I am, because I think it's important to know who someone is while you listen to what they have to say. So again, I'm Dr. Margaret Matara. I teach at Tennessee State University. That's a historically Black college and university here in Nashville, Tennessee. That is one of the states in the U.S. Again, I said we're coming a long, long way, and I appreciate you asking me to join you. I'm very honored that I was asked to join you all. I do teach the parenting courses, I teach the developmental courses, the relationship courses, and sometimes the research. So everything that's going on now is completely integrated with the area that I cover with students and with classes. Another part of my job is I work with extension. So extension reaches out to the community and connects the community with the university. The things that we are learning and teaching at the university, we bring to the families in the community. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic that's going on right now, that is at the forefront in the community and in thoughts, both in the university and in the community. A third part of my professional duties and where I met praise is I am a member of the Family Life Coaching Association. And I will talk a little bit more about that later because I think that's important with what you all do, with what I do. But in that organization, I'm the secretary. I'm also the chair of the standards committee. So we look at best practice. We're looking at some credentialing for the family life coaches. And as I mentioned, that's how I met praise. He was generous enough to come and speak at our conference last year, and we're trying to get him to speak again in one of our webinars. So we love hearing about all the good work that you all are doing. If you want to go on to the next slide, I don't know if I have control over it, but yeah, so this is a quote that is kind of near and dear to my heart. Families are the compass that guides us. I think that we all here in this conference know that families are the foundation. When you have strong families, you have strong societies. When you have fragile families or families at risk, then the whole society is at risk. So they inspire us to great heights. They're our comfort. We rely on families. I think as family professionals, family scientists, family life coaches, family educators, we know that when we build and strengthen families, we are building and strengthening the future. And that's the work that we are all doing. And I'm so happy to join you in the good work that you are doing. You can go to the next slide. So I mentioned earlier that we're all focused on kind of COVID-19 right now, but as I thought about this presentation and I thought about the work that we're doing, I don't just want to talk about COVID-19 because although it is in the forefront of our mind now, we had problems before COVID-19. We had inequalities before COVID-19. And so we can't pretend that everything was perfect and now we have an issue and everything will be perfect when this issue is over. We need to talk about the problems that existed and how we're coping now and how we're going to cope in the future, and so that we can move forward as a society rather than treating it as just one point in time and one issue in time. You can go to the next slide. You go forward. There you go. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we've had issues in society, and I think the work that you all are doing and hearing all the innovations that Praise and the other family scientists there are doing is very encouraging to me because we had issues in society beforehand. We've always had inequalities in society. Some people have been able to feed their families and provide a good future for their children, while others have struggled with income disparities. Some people have had fabulous health care, and other people have struggled to stay healthy and to stay strong. We've had power disparities, not only in society, some people's voices being heard and others not, but also in our own families. Power disparities where some people felt like they could question what was happening or influence what was happening and others not. So besides societal issues, we've had issues within our families, family disagreements. When families don't get along, we've had power struggles, as I mentioned, and sometimes that turns into domestic violence, sometimes it turns into child abuse. We definitely have had issues that as family scientists, we have always worked with. We've always tried to help families move beyond and make good choices. and strengthen and look toward their future. I loved what Praise was saying about how we are the future. You all are the future of your country. We're the future of, globally with what's going on, and family is the crux of that. So domestic violence and child abuse within families, that creates issues. And then the individual goals that families have. So different family members, although we are one strong family, we do have different goals. We do have different things that we're trying to accomplish, different things that we're working on to become the best us that we can. So although we're a whole as a family, we're also individuals. We also have different needs and different struggles that we have. You can move forward. So with the pandemic, with the issue that we're having with COVID-19, all these things kind of come to a head. We are struggling in ways on top of the inequalities and the struggles we had before. It's kind of come into more focus. So the inequalities that I talked about before, they impact how we are able to cope with COVID-19. So if families had financial inequalities before, financial worries before, now they are faced with how to help grow their family and support their family if they don't have a job. So some workers have been laid off. Some workers have had decreased hours since we've had to stay home. It's necessary because of the health issues, but it doesn't help when we have financial issues that we were already worrying about. And again, that societal inequality makes this even more relevant. So families that were doing well before and secure before, they don't have this same level of worry as families who are living on the edge. So how we're coping with the pandemic is different among all families. Same thing with the health disparities. So while before some families and some individuals had access to good health care and they were strong and healthy and able to take care of themselves, others were not. And as we've learned, as this pandemic has rolled out, people who were already at risk health-wise, they're even more at risk for COVID-19. So that disparity that we had before didn't go away, and the pandemic's not affecting everyone equally. It's affecting families, again, who are on the edge even more so. The differences that we had as families get amplified. So we're all at home now. We're all kind of around our families and the people that we love dearly, but we're around them 24/7 now, as was mentioned. So our home is not just our home. We're working at home, we're educating at home, we're exercising at home, we're entertaining at home. Everything that we were doing before out in the community, we're now doing within the walls of our home. So differences that we had as family members, because we're individuals, this gets amplified now. Now we're up against each other, like I said, 24/7. So those differences become more compacted. If my working style is I like to play music while I work because it helps me concentrate on my job, yet my spouse is trying to work next to me and the music interferes with his work style, we're going to clash. We're going to have problems in our differences. Likewise, our living style, the differences in our living style are amplified now that we're in a home 24/7. So whereas maybe my child likes to go through the day and take care of responsibilities and then clean everything up at night, that might add stress to me, who I like to keep things nice and orderly and organize things and clean up things as I go. So those differences in behavior that maybe were not so apparent now are amplified. Our personal space has been invaded. So like I said, we are doing things 24/7 around each other, where we used to have breaks. We used to get up in the morning, enjoy our family, and then go our separate ways to work, to school, to different social activities. Now we don't have that break. So for people who are introverts, who need personal time alone, or people who need time to process their thoughts and have, their own private time to work through things, they don't have that anymore. Depending on how large your living space is, you may only be able to go to the next room to get away from someone. That adds stress. If we don't have that time to decompress, then we're on edge. It adds to our anxiety. It adds to those conflicts that I just mentioned. So whereas something that would have been a small thing to say, can you pick up or can you turn your music off, now becomes a huge fight because we don't have that time to get a hold of ourselves and strengthen ourselves and decompress and relax so that we can deal with it. Whereas we used to go away to our activities and come home and love rejoining with our family and reconnecting with our family. Now our family is always there. And even though we love them, they are always there. That can make things difficult. Individual family members may have different ways to cope. So one of the ways that I cope with stress and anxiety and worry about the future is I like to talk through it. I like to bounce ideas off someone else and tell them what I'm feeling and ask their opinion about things. That may cause more anxiety for someone else who the way they deal with things is privately. They like to privately get a hold of their anxiety or their stress. And so my coping mechanism may actually add stress to someone else rather than helping with their differences, with their ways of coping. So that difference can create problems within a household when you can't get away from someone. So the problems that occurred before may be, if you'll go back just a minute, the problems that occurred before that we talked about in pre-COVID-19, the possibility of domestic violence or the possibility of child abuse, now that we're in homes 24/7 with each other with increased anxiety and with increased depression and increased nerves, that can become more so. What we're seeing in trends is that there is more of a risk of domestic violence. There's more of a risk of child abuse. And on top of that, because we don't have access to other people seeing what's going on because we're in our homes, then that adds to risk. So whereas children used to go to school and maybe a teacher would notice that something was going on in the home that wasn't quite right, now we don't have that because kids are being schooled at home. And whereas, maybe spouses would go to work and they would have support systems that could help them in situations with domestic violence, they don't have that because they're working at home. So that increased risk of occurrences of violence in the household, now we're placed even more at risk because there is not the opportunity for that outside support. We're so close 24/7. I've heard people talk about that we're not sure what's going on in households and we're not able to offer the help and support that we used to. Now, not everything that's happening in the households is bad. Because we're around each other and so close 24/7, I've heard people say after the pandemic, we're going to see a lot of babies and a lot of divorces, that it's going to go either really good or really bad while people are at home so much together, possibly even both. So in the same household, it could be good one day and not so good another day. Another trend that I've seen is that early data is showing that another positive coming out of people being at home are fathers are being a lot more involved with their children. They're home together, they're more active either in recreation or they're active in education, but that's another positive that can come out of this. So it's not all bad, but the problem is because families are so isolated and together, we don't always know what's going on. If you'll switch to the next slide. So after COVID-19, and again, I put post in quotes because I think we didn't have a strong, solid beginning. We are not going to have a strong, solid end where everything is, done and fabulous and everything's together. I think we're going to have shades of change. While we had shades of change coming into this pandemic where people started hearing about it and started getting worried and changes started to be made, I think we're seeing that as countries and states start to open back up, it's in shades of change. We're starting to figure out what precautions we need to make to stay safe, how we can re-engage in some ways in the life that we used to have. We're going to ease back in with some changes to keep ourselves safe, taking precautions. But I think that just that unknown in itself is another thing that we have to deal with. My personal family is trying to figure out if we can have a family gathering next month, if that's safe for the different households to come together. if we can't even plan next month, how are we going to plan 2 months from now, or when school starts back in September for us in the United States, or the holidays coming up in the future months? We don't know. And that unknown can make us anxious about the future. Am I going to be safe? Even as we start to open up and move back in society, because we've been sheltering in place for so long, now there's some anxiety. Is that person standing too close to me? Are they sick? Am I going to bring something home to my family? Am I taking enough precautions in my actions? And all that unknown can add stress and anxiety to households. And again, even post COVID-19, the families that were more on the edge, more at risk, are still going to be more at risk. So as society opens back up, are they going to be able to have the financial security that maybe even they tenuously had before? Are they going to be able to keep their homes? Are they going to be able to take care of their families? People who had health concerns before, as society opens back up and risk becomes increased from people being around each other, are they at higher risk once again with the health concerns they had? So the same people who were fragile or on the edge or at risk before, again, are at increased risk. That inequality didn't go away. The same people are kind of suffering more as we move back into post-COVID-19 society. And we still don't know if there's going to be a second wave or a third wave as things reopen and people are around each other, or as the weather gets colder. I think this is so new to most of us. We're learning new things every day, not only about how to keep ourselves safe, but how maybe we're putting ourselves at risk or what risks might come. Medically, new things are coming out that people who didn't have any symptoms or who had COVID-19 and then recovered, they're more at risk for certain health problems, whether it's heart or whether it's strokes. Children who didn't have any symptoms and were seen not to be the biggest sufferers now are having inflammation diseases. So there's a lot we don't know, and that lack of knowing really adds to the stress, adds to anxiety. We're having increased depression and increased worry and increased mental health challenges. You can go to the next slide. So I feel like I have talked a lot about negatives, but I do want to say I love, love, love the theme of this conference, opportunities and threats. I think that says a lot, because I think that they're one and the same for family professionals. So the threats that I talked about, the risks that I talked about, that can also be opportunities. And it can be opportunities through the help of family scientists. So I love this Chinese proverb, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. I think almost every society has these same sayings or has these same concepts. We learn through our challenges. We go stronger through our challenges. We come out better through our challenges. We can use that to improve ourselves. And I think family scientists and family life coaches help make a threat into an opportunity. We can make that change and use these challenges to make not only better families, which is, I think, our initial primary goal, but like we said before, better families make better societies. This is the future for all of our countries. So again, I talked a lot about a lot of threats, and while we can't change initially the pre-COVID-19 situations, right now we're currently in COVID-19 and post-COVID-19. And the work that family scientists do can make changes now and in the future. You can go ahead and change the slide. And I think the way that we make these changes are in 3 key areas. These are the things that we need to focus on with family: communication, respect, and empowerment. So communication is the key throughout family relations and family areas. We have to be able to talk about what's going on with us. So all the issues that we had pre-COVID-19, as soon as society starts opening up, we can't think they magically went away. You know, the issues that were brought more to the forefront while we were home and condensed and together, we can't pretend like that all suddenly gets better and goes away just because we have more of a handle on COVID-19. We have to communicate with each other. We have to talk about what the issues were and how we get around the issues. And get feedback from each other on what we're going through. Communication is the only way you know. If you think you know what someone else is thinking and feeling, you have a good chance of being wrong. You know, you have to communicate. You have to get them to communicate with you. You have to not only be able to share what you're thinking, but you have to let other people in. You know, that takes trust, but that communication builds that trust. I think respect is also one of these keys. We have to teach families and encourage families to respect each other. Everybody has their own truth. Everybody has their own experiences, and they're valid. How I feel and what I'm experiencing is valid. So my experience, how I'm going through this crisis and how I go through life is going to be different from not only other people in society, but other people in my own household. And it's not where one way is wrong and one way is right. It's how everybody experiences it. And we have to respect that for each other. And we have to be willing to relinquish control that we don't have. I can't force my daughter to see things the way I see things and to do things the way I do things. I have to respect the fact that she has her own truth and her own life and her own coping mechanisms. Now, I can support her, but I have to respect the fact that I don't have that control, that she has to control that. And that gets at the heart a lot to the domestic violence and the child abuse that we talked about earlier. You have to respect the other people in the household and give them the respect to know that they have their own truth and their own experiences. Empowerment is that third key. I think that we all are responsible for becoming our best self, and we can help each other through that. So the way that we empower others to take control of their life and be their best self is by offering them support, not by doing it for them, not by demanding them they see it our way, but by helping them become the best person they can become. You can change the slide. So I'm going to talk a little bit about family life coaching and family science, because I think that's where we all are at the moment. You can switch to the next slide. So family life coaching really is a partnership, and that's its strength. It is based on a knowledge of family and family science, but it is a partnership between the family and the professional. The family needs to set their own goals and figure out their own path with our help. So that's that empowerment. That's that respect that families have their own goals and their own ways of doing things and their own truth. Family scientists and family life coaches help with accountability. You know, if you set a goal, are you working toward that goal? They help the family identify obstacles, you know, what is going to keep you from being your best self and accomplishing your goals. But really the trust and support is to help the family go their own path, the family find their own truth, the family reach their own goals, and to make referrals for the family if necessary. The strength and the benefit of this approach, family scientists and family life coaches, is it is not a deficit model. We don't work on the assumption that families are sick and need help. We're not focusing on the weaknesses of family. We're focusing on the strengths. It's a strength-based model. So families know their own family. They know where they want to go. They know what tools they have to work with. The family life coach and the family scientists help them reach that goal. I think that this helps in societies and with families and with groups where they don't want to appear that they need help. You know, it's not that there's something is wrong with me and I need to see a professional. Where family scientists benefit from that is that we are just support. We're just helping families get where they want to be. So it's not fixing them. It's not curing an illness in them. You know, they are the strong ones. I started out talking about families being the foundation, families being the compass. We are giving them the tools and we're helping them find their truth and find their path. That's the empowerment. That's the respect. That's the communication. If you'll switch the slide, I'm going to put in a brief plug for Family Life Coaching Association. And again, this is the organization that I work with, and that Praise was where I met Praise and where he was kind enough to join us in our conference last year. But this is an organization that supports family life coaches and family scientists in general. So we have webinars, we have book clubs, we have conferences. In fact, we have a free conference 2 weeks from now, that first week in June 4th and 5th, I believe. We've got resources. We are working toward a credential so that we know that family life coaches are doing best practice with families, are actually helping families, because I think we know as family scientists that everybody who says they know about families don't always know about families. So based on research and based on actual practice and knowledge, we put newsletters out there. But this is an organization, and I've put the websites at the bottom. We have an Instagram, we've got Facebook. I encourage all of you to connect with this organization and to join us in the free conference in a couple of weeks, because we want to strengthen people who work with families. You all are doing such good work and such good things that we want to support you as you support your families. And we want to share with our members what you all are doing also. So we hope it's a two-way street. We hope that you'll be able to do some webinars for us and participate in our conferences as we go. If you'll switch the slide. I feel like I've talked about so much negative in this presentation that I do want to point out some silver linings from COVID-19. And I know that's a weird way to think about it, but I like to look for silver linings where I work, because with the nature of work we do, we see so much bad sometimes that it helps to make sure we're seeing the good. I think we can absolutely come out stronger from this. I think that we have seen a lot of the pre-COVID-19 weaknesses come into play and be highlighted. Like I mentioned, the income disparities, the health disparities, the power disparities. Our trick is to, now that we've seen them, not pretend like they go away. We need to work toward making sure our societies come out stronger and more equal. I think another silver lining is we have seen how important this connection and closeness is. So we have very creative ways to stay connected with people that we love, whether it's using technology or going back to sending letters. I get to be in a conference continents away that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. We've gotten so creative with staying connected. We need to remember that that connection is important and not take it for granted. We need to remember that families need help, and we have developed more and more ways for families to get help remotely, by telemedicine and by teletherapy and by focus groups that we're doing with the families that we work with. That's a way to reach more people and using technology for good and in a way that's going to make us a stronger society. So I think the silver lining is taking the lessons that we've learned through COVID-19 and coming out better, coming out stronger, not coming out the same, coming out better. And I'll leave you with just one more quote that is really important to me on the next slide. If you'll switch the slide over, the last quote that I'll leave you with: if you wish your life different, do your life differently. I think that is something that family scientists, family life coaches help families do. We, as professionals, help families do their lives better. So you have to get out of the wishing stage and out of the regret stage and make lives better. And that's what we do through respect, through partnership, through communication. We make families stronger and empower them. Thank you for letting me join you. I don't know if there's any questions or if that will come later, but again, I just want to really tell you that I appreciate you letting me join you, and I hope that I can spend more time and enjoy this connection more in future. Again, while I wait for TJ to come back, I will strongly encourage you to join us in our conference first week in June. That there's a lot of good speakers, a lot of good connection opportunities. Go to that website, flcassociation.com or .org. If any of you want to reach out to me directly, I would love to hear what you're doing, more about what you're doing. And Praise has my email, or it's mmatara@tnstate.edu. I would love to hear from any of you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay. So much, Margaret. Thank you. That was an amazing
Thank you.
session. Okay. As fast as I can. Something you said that struck me so hard, something I've heard over, and something in the practice that we learned. And I just wanted to emphasize that we don't fix families. It's not like there's a disease or something. We only help them find their path, their true path. Thank you very much. But like you said, you spoke a lot about it seems you spoke about the negative. And it's easy for people to pick up negative habits than it is to pick good habits. So the question I want to ask you, from the point where you said we can reset some of our negative trends, it's easy. When you were talking before you came in, I was talking about my own experience having to stay with my family 24/7. Last week, I almost lost it last week because my children, on this side, my wife is calling me on this side. Sometimes I want to go live. That's when they have their issues to bring. And I'm like, can you give me some space?
Right.
I eventually had to just take myself out. I got in the car and I drove around. I had to look for something to put that energy into. It's easy to say we can use that negative energy, but I wanted to just expand a little on practically how we can convert those negative energy to something positive, how we can ensure that we don't spill because of how we feel, because of how the anxieties, the depression, the anger that is still welling up with this new reality. How can we transit from those negative emotions into positive emotions that will help our family grow?
That's a really good question, and I think you're right. I think everybody has to keep reminding themselves they love their family at this point, because there's some times that you may love them, but you don't like them all that much. But I think that it comes back down again to that communication and respect. So when you needed that time for you to communicate, I have to go take a drive. I have to be away from you for a little while. And to be able to feel safe to say that your family is going to not be offended and not think you hate them, but realize that's what you need to get back control of yourself. That's that respect and that's that empowerment. What I'm hoping comes out of this is that we realize we can live close to each other and give each other still what we need, whether it's going out in the backyard or going for a drive or going in a different room without all those little knocks on the door of people still trying to talk to you and ask you things. That we're not afraid to ask for what we need, and we're not afraid to let each other have our own truth. Just because I need to be around you, if you need separation from me, I have to respect that, and I have to not take offense and hold it and burn your dinner because I'm mad at you. We have to give each other that respect.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much. I'll just ask if there's any question. It could easily be put it across the screen and we'll read it. But before that comes up, I want to ask, how can the association, the Family Life Association in the US, how can it work with family life practitioners in Africa? And specifically, will there be a conference coming soon to Nigeria?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'm so glad you asked it. So right now, we are having our own virtual conference like everybody else, and it's a great opportunity because it was made free. So that's one way that you all can join us, is by participating in that conference. All of our webinars, all of our book clubs, all of our conferences, they are definitely international. We have some people from different countries participating. I haven't told him this yet, but we're going to get Praise to do a webinar for us in the coming months. So I'm putting him on notice right now. But the other thing about a conference coming to Nigeria, we would love to expand to other countries. We would love to have a conference in Nigeria. We have several coaches from different countries right now. And so as we build those, we're definitely going to reach out and build that coalition, because I think we can all support each other. Different countries may have slightly different issues, but families are families. So there's a lot of commonality.
Okay, beautiful. There's one question on the screen. I think you can see that.
I can, yeah.
You talked about, you talked about every family member, having to live their own truth based on their experiences. The question is, how do we reach a compromise and agree on that truth?
So that's a really good question. When I talk about everybody having their own truth, as an individual, I have my own path as an individual. And so the people who love me and care about me have to respect that. So in that sense, there is no one truth. However, as a family, we have to be moving forward in one way as a family. So in that way, we do have to compromise and agree on that one path and that one truth. And that's where family professionals, family scientists can help with that. I think usually, excuse me, if we can allow that communication to happen, because sometimes we're so stuck in what we think the right way is that we're not hearing other people's way. We're not hearing other people's perspective. And sometimes after we listen and hear their perspective, we realize that we're saying the same thing, or that their way is better than our way. We hate to admit that because we're human, but if we hear their perspective, ultimately, if everybody in the family is happy and living their own truth, then the family can go forward in a more productive way. When one person is superior over another or inserting power over another, that's what makes it difficult. That's what makes it hard for families to go forward. So one person's way is not going to be the family way, but you can have your individual paths and truths, and then you can come together as a family if you hear each other. And like I said, most of the time we're saying the same thing, just in a different way.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Doctor. I wish we had more time. More time, rather, we would have, taken this conversation further. But I want to say thank you. That's the time we have for now. But this is important. That one of the last words you said, the fact that we say different things, it sounds as though we're saying different things. We are actually saying the same thing. Probably you are using different semantics. So thank you very much.
Thank you very for having
much.
me.
It was. Yeah, you're welcome. We'll be moving on with a session. We have a panel coming up shortly, and in that panel, we'll be having 3 amazing guests with us today. First on our list, you heard him speak today. He is the founder of this institute. His name is Praise Overware. Please, I would just want to encourage you. Please follow us on every handle on Instagram or Facebook. Look for IFED, IFED Academy. And please follow us so that you can see the programs that we have coming your way. And also, it would be good that you also follow every link. Sorry, when you share your comments, use the hashtag Africa Life Summit. Am I correct? Please put that on the screen so they can see the hashtag once again, Dio. Thank you very much. Okay, the hashtag so you can share what stood out for you in this session. But we're going straight into, the Africa Family Life. Thank you, Dario. Thank you so much. Thank you. Africa Family Life. And sure, you share what stood out with you across on Twitter. Let us trend that people get to know that we're helping build families that will sustain the future of humanity. Thank you very much. So moving to the panel sessions, we want to bring up 3 panelists. The first is Praise Overware. He is the founder of this institute. Praise Overware has had many sides to his existence with over 20 years functioning in this industry as a family life coach. We also have a media personality coming up, and that's the person of Mrs. Adesua Oyenokwe. She's coming up as well. And then we have our third panelist for this session, and she is no other person than Julie Mogbo. She is a nurse or a medical practitioner, and we'll be looking at the health of the family post-COVID. This the COVID and post-COVID. So I want to welcome Praise. Is Praise there? Is Julie there?
Yeah, I am here.
And awesome. It's great to see you, Praise. Welcome.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to say particularly to you, How are you going through this season, knowing that I think you are currently not, I was almost locked out from my family while I was
Yeah.
in Abuja. I had to quickly rush down back, to connect with my family. How are you coping through this season, knowing that probably you're not physically with your family?
Well, technology makes it easy. I mean, so with Skype, with WhatsApp videos, I'm able to be in touch with them. It's pretty tough. Never easy, considering the fact that I love to see the children walk around, run around. So not having them around me, it's a bit tough. But what I've done is to plug myself. You know me. I love to research a lot, so plug myself into research. Incidentally, we had moved on into virtual office space, virtual world as far back as September last year. So COVID did not catch us unaware. So it's just that the way we work has really changed because I operate in different time zones. So I work midnight through morning, sleep, and so it's pretty interesting. We're adjusting. But what can you do? You can only do what you can do. But technology makes it easy. At least I can see them every day. I can talk to them. I can give instructions, and we can have family meetings. Right. So it makes it easy.
So for those who are used to always having that sense of physical touch to with family, what is the future of family going to be like for them?
Well, people need to understand that when change happens, the first thing you need to do is to adapt, right? You cannot hold onto your old way and function in the new way, right? The world has gone through so many eras. So, for example, when computers were introduced and people began to open up email addresses, the people where they were stuck in the past, many of them are no longer relevant in this future, right? So when the paradigm changes, everything resets itself to zero, new level of skills, which we all now have to learn. I love to hold. I'm an intuitive feeler. I love to hold my children. I love to hold my family. But in the absence of that, you got to adapt and now find the next best way, right, to getting this thing done. It's very strange season, but what I always say to people is this: you want to communicate because you can actually speak into the soul of any man from whatever part of the world. People of faith says that in the spiritual that there is no barrier, there is no distance, right? Which means there's a whole lot, which is where communication. I love the way Dr. Margaret puts it. She talks about communication, respect, and empowerment. Those very key words are very, very key. So communication is very key. And when it comes to communication, you don't have to be physically present to communicate, because there are things teaching your children without having direct contact with your children. The music industry is already instructing your children. It's not meeting with them. Their favorite artist is not meeting with them physically, but they are influencing them. So at the end of the day, the question is, do you want to be there or you want to influence? If influence or discipleship is what you want to do, then there are several ways of getting it done without necessarily, because you can be touching and not be influencing your children.
I need
right?
you.
Other people can be influencing them.
Sorry to interrupt you. I need you to go back and say that thing slowly about being there or influencing. I need to say that again slowly.
Right. You want to, it's the trade-off between do you want to be present or you want to influence. Presence is good, but you can be present and still be absent, right? You can even be present and another person that is not present in your house is influencing your children. So for example, your children are speaking slangs. They are speaking slangs that your presence could not teach, right? Someone else who is far away in America is teaching the slang. Your children are sagging. The person teaching them how to sag is not in your house, but it's influencing them. So this thing is not new. It's about influence. So I want to influence my children to become the best version of themselves. So I have learned that I don't have to be physically present. When I'm physically present, I am there. But when I'm not physically present, the journey continues, which is why I recommend that parents need to create a script. Parenting is an 18-year curriculum. What happens from age 19 is your report card, right? So you better, create a clear curriculum for yourself that you are working towards a predetermined future, not that you are just responding to things. So I'm on a journey with my children. I can see where they want to go. We have that conversation, and everything that supports where they want to go is what I do.
Okay, great. Two questions coming in to me from your statement. If parents need to start creating curriculum, as you just said, you're trying to say, in other words, the first school for the family or for your children is the home, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So, what
Yeah.
happens?
I
What
mean,
happens?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I said,
You were
what
going to say
happens
something.
in? Yes, I'm going to ask a question. What happens in the situation where your schooling your children in school isn't giving the right impact you need for your children? Do you now recommend we now come home and draw a curriculum at home and start, schooling our children all around our home?
Because the school cannot actually school your children for you, right? Home is still where you need to school your children. And the mistake many of us make is we do not select a school for the child based on the potential of the child. We select a school for the child maybe because someone recommended the school, or someone went there, or you've had noise about the school, right? Meanwhile, it is the potential of your child that should dictate every action you take, right? Which is why I believe that the first skill in parenting is observation. A lot of us have lost the capacity to observe our children because your child will give you clues. So, for example, every time we had to select a school for my son, because he pretty much showed musical aptitude early enough in life, the first thing I want to check is not the maths teacher, it's not the English teacher. I want to check the music lab. That's the only thing I want to check. Because if his greatest ability is not going to be supported by that school, I'm not interested, right? But beyond the school, I have created a curriculum of music for him at home. He's got a music teacher at home, right, that sharpens him up, right? So it's almost ahead of his peers at school, right? So what parents need to understand is, question is, if the schools don't exist, who will your child become? Will he become an illiterate? Won't you homeschool your children, right? So school will have their own curriculum, and understand, depending on the country you belong to, there are nations who have asked the fundamental question before setting up a school, to say, who do we want our citizens to become? That's what determine the curriculum they run, the subjects they take. But there are nations that never asked that question, that just copied another person's curriculum, even though it's not adaptable, it's not implementable where they are, right? So you consistently see that for those nations, they produce graduates who cannot think, they produce graduates who have low self-esteem, because you have lecturers who say to you from day one at school that A is for God, B is for serious students, C is for me, then, B is for me, C is for serious student, D is for average student, right? Lecturers who cannot be questioned. Lecturers, if you question them, you are a rebel. Now, if you are functioning in that kind of nation, you know your child's potential is at risk, because his ferocious curiosity will be compromised. So what you need to do is to create your own family educational system that says, this is the kind of human being we want to proceed from this family. And so, which means you need to create your own subject, or the power of curriculum. I tell people the goal of the subject is to subject you to become a subject to what you have been taught. So if you want your child to be a royalty, you need to create a royal.
You need to say that in slow motion. Say that in slow motion.
Right. The goal of a subject is to subject you to become a subject to what you have been taught, right? So which means you become a slave. So you can become a slave to being a royalty. You can become a slave to being a confident person. You can become a slave to being an icon, a scientist. But you can also become a slave to becoming a disempowered person who has low self-esteem, insecurity, right? Based on the subjects that you have been taught. So the family is so powerful, which is why every family must create an educational system to say, this is who we want our children to be, this is the potential they are showing, and this is the curriculum we're going to run that can deliver the best version of our child.
Amazing phrase. And so many questions just popping up from all you're saying, but I don't want to lose one old question. I want to go back. You talked about connecting with your family right now, talking about presence, and you can, you don't need to be present to be able to have influence over your kids. Now, the mode of connection right now is the internet. Don't you think, or rather, how would you deal with the issue of distraction when connecting using the internet, knowing that when they go online, it's easy to see one or two things that can easily, take their attention, and before you know, they lose hold of you're influencing, if that is the word?
Well, Kunle Shorion mentioned it that nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is that children now have more options. What I believe and what I teach and what I live is never introduce a child to the internet without giving them instructions about the internet. It's like internet is like handing your car key to your child. If you have not taught your child driving and you now give your 9-year-old the key to your car and you now hire all the top spiritualists across the world, all the men of God, Islamic clerics, you hire them to begin to pray. And the prayer point is, may this child not encounter an accident. Right? You know that the child is going to be involved in an accident. Clearly. Why? Because you have not taught him how to drive. The same way, exposing a child to the internet without instructing them, because first, even when you instruct, you now need to supervise, right? You now need to ward off or cut off everything that can distract a child, from his focus. Now, let me say something to you, TJ. Many of us were not taught how to focus. Our parents told us, be focused, be focused. They did not teach us. What they taught us by their lifestyle is distraction. So when we say a child is distracted, a child has only learned, he has become a PhD holder of what he has observed in his parents. His parents have taught him distraction, so he's distracted. So here is what I teach. When I noticed that my children were not laying their bed, what did I teach? I created an entry and a closure system for every activity. So sleeping starts with going to have your bath, wearing your pajamas. Sleeping ends when you lay your bed. Until you have laid your bed, you have not finished sleeping. So they know the start, they know the finish, right? So when they came to our room one day, it was 7 o'clock, we're ready for work, and our bed was not laid. My daughter asked myself and my wife, he said, Dad, are you still sleeping? Right? The same way, when it comes to eating, eating starts when the dish is served. Eating does not end until you wash your plate. So if you create entry and exit point, then you have taught focus. So a child knows that I need to go through this to produce this, right? If you have not created anything as simple as that, when your child gets online, it's going to be distracted. It's going to see pornography. It's going to see all kinds of things. So it's about what we teach and the knowledge we pass to our children before we introduce them to the internet, right? And that's what is most important. So my children use a lot of the internet, but I govern, I give them task and assignment regularly on what I want them to study, and they replicate it to me by shooting a video to make a presentation on what they have learned. So you need to be there and ensure that you guide. Yeah.
Thank you, Praise. There are so many questions, and like someone just put in the comments, you are spitting out fire. We're going to come back to you. We have Julie, who is on standby. Can we bring Julie up on screen, please? In all that you have said, one key thing I would like to say here is communication is a lifeline for any family. For any family to survive, communication is a lifeline. Julie, you also welcomed on board this evening. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Good to see you, TJ. Well done.
You look like someone who is living above COVID-19.
We have to find our level. We have to find our grounds. We have to find a way to thrive.
Okay, so Julie, straight up, you are in the medical field. You have seen firsthand what is going on, and with the uncertainties that this presents us, where the world is focusing on their well-being, how can families create a culture to optimize their well-being to face the challenges of the new normal?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the program. A wonderful work that is being done by Family Life practitioners. I also welcome everyone who is watching this from all over the world. There's one thing that COVID-19 has brought to our conscious awareness, and that is to make an assessment, a critical assessment of our lifestyle as a people, and in this context, as a family. So families who never had a second thought as to their healthy practices are forced to now start looking into their habits, their daily activities, and to make an assessment of how healthy these things are. So it's giving us that opportunity to look at what is in store. What do you currently do as a family that promotes well-being? So when we are talking about during this period, what are the things that families can do? Well, in order to survive, families first of all need to do an assessment. What was our practice before? What is being demanded of us now? How can we survive this period? As a people, as a nation, practicing personal hygiene wasn't part of our culture. Even though we were taught to wash our hands before we eat, but it is not something that is part of our very fabric. I still see some people. I stepped out the other day and I saw some people walking. Hardly, at some point, I was wondering, do I have to close my eyes while driving? Because you see people walking and they just pour out sputum from their mouth to the ground. There's no caution as to either use a tissue paper or make it not obvious to those that are walking. It's not a pleasant thing to look at. So people find it difficult to imbibe these cultures. So it is for families to now start looking. It's that our report card has just been revealed to us. So if you're finding it difficult to wash your hands regularly, this is the time to start learning it. And for families, it's not to be harsh about it. It's not to order the children to go do it. It's for the adults in the house to start practicing it and to invite other members of the family to be a part of it. You can create a song to encourage people to wash their hands. You can create some kind of fun activities around healthy practices. So these are some of the things that families can do. The truth is, personal governance when it comes to management of health is key in this regard. Unfortunately, we are still in a country where we have to push our government, we have to pray for our government, we have to fast for our government to do what they need to do. So every family needs to, the personal responsibility comes into play largely here. So everyone make an assessment. What used to be your practice before? What is COVID-19 regulation presenting to us? How can we modify our lifestyle to fit into that just so that we remain safe?
Okay, beautiful.
TJ.
In my house, I wash my hands. Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, beautiful, Julie. In my house, I washed my hands, got sanitizer. Interestingly, I had sanitizers all over my house before the whole pandemic. And then now it became so conscious. My son presses that thing like every 2 seconds. And he's always washing his hands. And the next thing you hear is, oh, won't I wash my hands till my hands peel? Where I'm going with this is, while people are building new habits and some are building it out of fear, is that in any way dangerous to the health of the individual?
Okay, so first of all, just to make a note, I think what we should make more emphasis on is the washing of hands. Yes, it's okay. We only wouldn't bring in hand sanitizer where there is no water. So as much as possible, let us encourage the regular washing of hands. So saying if this brings any form of danger, we are not supposed to approach this from a point of fear. The perspective through which we look at it will determine how well we survive. So if we get anxious about it, if we become fearful about it, then the things that we fear would eventually happen to us, because the mind plays a fast one on us. So when we start having this fear about a particular thing, those things become real. Eventually, we start exhibiting symptoms. And sometimes it may not be COVID-19, because we've had situations where if someone is ill, once you call the person will just tell you, no, it's not COVID-19. Because there's that unconscious fear about contracting the disease. So it would be advisable that everyone should just learn, seek out to know what is expected. Personal hygiene is supposed to be the way of life. It's not something we have to draw down a curriculum and sit down and make a big fuss about it. We were taught about personal hygiene in school. It's just indiscipline that led us to the point that we are in. So we just go back to nursery school. Let's go back to primary school.
I was going to ask you what class, because when they were taught in school, and a lot of us were trying to remember, okay, so what class did they teach us? Can we have a redo of that class right now?
I think so. We will have to go back and revisit their curriculum. That was in health education class. So you learn how to bath, you learn how to wash your hands and all of that. That was taught then. So it's not new. like I said, I think it is indiscipline that has gotten us to this point. Why will an adult go out and come back and just dive into your food without washing your hands? Why would we go through a stressful day, especially the that
Okay, since your network is breaking, Julie, can you hear me? It seems your network is breaking a bit. Okay,
Can
okay,
you
good.
hear me?
I can hear you. You're back. Just one more question. Yes, I can hear you now clearly. One more question. This is one of the, should I call these the threats in communication in the future family when you don't have stable internet? But I'm thinking right now, a lot of people have spent so much time at home. They are sitting and, my son eats like probably twice a day and he tells you, Daddy, I'm full. Well, right now he eats like 4 or 5 times a day. He's always hungry every other 2 hours. And I'm asking, what is happening? I'm using that to say a lot of people are building some health habits that may be good or harmful. I don't know, and I need you to talk about that. Eating too much, not exercising, or some people are trying to exercise. Is anything like exercising too much? The general question is, what is the health of the family post-COVID with all these habits that are being built during this period? I want
Thank
you
you
to
very
comment.
much, PJ. Yes, for that question. In Lagos, Nigeria, I think early this year there was a ban on Okada, what some other people would call motorcycle, and then the tricycle in our own language. In Lagos, here we call it keke. So there was a ban on it, and people were all angry. They expressed their grievances and all that. But I had said that when people look critically into their lives and they make an assessment of how they were before the ban of the Okada and Keke Napep, they will see that they've either had improved metabolism, they either would sleep better, and they'll find out that they are losing weight. It is recommended that the average human being that's an adult should take up to 10,000 steps in a day. 10,000 steps in a day, and that's like walking let's say about 3,200 kilometers or thereabouts. So being in this state of lockdown, then it means that we have largely reduced those steps. The people that may still try or manage to keep up may be the women, those that have been used to walking and moving moving back and forth in their homes to cook, to attend to children, so they get to make more steps. But it is advisable that in the house, just get about, use your phone, put a marker there so it monitors your step. It's important. Make sure that on the average, at least if you can't do 10,000, do above 5,000 and make it regular. That is one. Secondly, being hydrated is key because it helps us function better. You do not want your blood thickening and making you tired. But if you get to drink water periodically, it keeps you hydrated. It gives you more energy to keep going. As for the children, they'll keep asking for food. That somehow, even to the adult, where you are bored, there's inactivity, the tendency is to just keep visiting the refrigerator and munching on something. It's important to have a routine. It's critical to have a time for your bed. Don't walk all through. Make sure you have enough time to sleep, because if you have your sleep time, you will reduce the chances of visiting the refrigerator to get something to eat. But if you walk round the clock, you will keep eating and eating and eating. The same thing for the children. Get them a routine. Tell them, okay, this is time for food, this is time for snacks. You can infuse snacks into it. After all, we give them snacks to take to school. So let them have their breakfast. They could have their snack time, they could have lunch, and then they have fruit time and whatever it is. You could spread it about 6 times in a day, but not just food, or indiscriminate eating. So post-COVID, for those who don't engage in activities, they might be having some health problems. And that also includes depression or extreme sadness that could be reported. There could be various kinds of mental conditions. So get an accountability partner, get on a routine. There's so many apps, there's so many programs going on the internet. Subscribe to one, get active. That's what I'm going to say. Get active. Do not overeat. Trust me, if you get up, you exercise, you have your bath, you eat your meal in the morning and spread it accordingly or evenly all through the day, you'll be very active and you will discover that you are able to achieve more.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
We've had Dr. Julie Mogbo with us. There's just one question I saw on the screen I want to read out. It says, how do we ensure that the feelings and emotions of familial love is not fizzled out when trying to create a family system? How do we ensure that that feelings, emotions, creating this, Praise has said a lot of things, creating curriculum, and there's one thing, when people just hear, do this, make this, we need to do this, it's like work to the mind. How do we ensure that we don't lose our connection while we're trying to build a family system?
Okay, if I were to say, there's something in my practice known as family integrity. Now, family integrity is such that you look out for the needs, the emotional needs of those within your constituency, those within that system. So you don't come up with a law and impose it on everyone. So there's something called invitation. So when you think about something, you have an idea, you want to set up something new in your home, it's just natural. These are all human beings. They have their own truth as well. They've got their own feeling. So invite them into the process. If at all you have to inflict some kind of discipline or the other, you let them know. You give them that warning. So this is it. That's when you're talking about the children. This is what has been put in place. If there's a violation of this, there's a repercussion for it. Our children also need to understand that there's a consequence. We are free to do whatever it is we want to do in this life, but we are not free from the consequences of our actions. They need to learn that. But for the other adults in the house, we don't impose rules. You don't impose an idea. You don't wake up one day and say, now we're going to set up a system. All of you are going to follow it. No, it's not going to work like that. Even in the fight of COVID-19, the government is not working. They at first, they thought they could do this on their own. But now they are having reasons to bring in experts from different fields. They have seen there are different individuals that are fighting from different fronts. There are different ways we are fighting. So within the family, you want to set up a system. You need to ensure that the integrity of the family is not impaired. And how can you ensure that? Is by inviting the family member into a roundtable discussion, factor in everyone's view. And then that way, you look at the pros and the cons, you look at the advantages and the disadvantages, and that's how you can come to a compromise.
Thank you. I think that reminds us of what Dr. Margaret said, the CRE, communication, respect, and empowerment. Thank you very much. Do we have our next guest around, Praise?
I think she's in. I don't know if it's a network issue. I think Dio can bring her up.
I can hear you guys. You can't hear me.
Yeah, we can see you, Auntie Ade.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can see
Great to have you here. We've waited. For those of you who started watching NTA back in those days, you will know this face. She moved from NTA to editing the magazine, as the editor of the magazine, Today's Woman, and then she started her program Seriously Speaking. And like you can see her posing right now in her shot of the camera, she looks like someone who wants to speak seriously to us today. It's good to have you here, Auntie Adesu, as we call you. Thank you for joining us in this conversation. How have you been keeping through this lockdown?
I was locked down even a week before the general lockdown, because I was actually in the studio for a particular program that was called Ultimate Love, and we knew that this was going to happen. So I stopped going to the studio a week before, and my husband is a mechanical engineer, and he's a very particular strategy person. And he said, look, this is going to get worse. We should just stay at home. And I had a daughter who was in the UK. She came home that weekend. So we all had to isolate to be sure that she was okay. So I was already on lockdown. So technically, I've been on lockdown for about 8 weeks. And when the lockdown opened last week, I started to go to work 1 day a week. And that's just it. It's just been, I listened to Dr. Margaret, and I can feel for most of the families who are locked in together. Or like she said, it is an opportunity to do something positive. I believe that if there were cracks before, every relationship has cracks, but we just don't notice them. because we get involved in doing other things in life. Now, this season where we all have to be together, we have learned to either paper and cement the cracks, or the cracks will just get deeper and wider. So with the experience of the family life coach that gave us a speech today, clearly, we need to work at papering those cracks. Hopefully, we'll be able to have them covered up, because we are all individuals, even though we're in a family. I mean, what's happening here today, for example, I have a son who I describe as my Oyibo man, and I have a serious technophobe. So this period, I've had to depend more on him to help me work the systems, what I'm doing. So in the past 1 week, it's no longer, yes, mama. Now it's like, oh, mama, can't you get to do this by yourself? This is getting frustrating, you know? So I'm getting more in his space, and I've had to learn to do this myself. For example, for this chat, I got into the wrong room for some reason. So I ended up having to call him back to come and get me back up. So the truth is, we're going to frustrate and frustrate each other, really. And we just have to learn to work at it, because it makes us stronger for it. So that's what has been happening to me during COVID.
So yeah, you basically, I think you just told us that you came out stronger after 8 weeks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Now you've been in the media space for quite a while, and right now one of the things we see on the internet is so much hit, so much comic relief, so much content out there to just make people laugh, and I think it's also helping some people ease off. The question now is, what are the threats, if there are any, towards creating family-friendly content for public consumption at this period?
Let me go back to what Praise said earlier. If you listen to Praise said, to influence our children, we don't have to be there physically. And the media has proven that to us. Because whether you're there, when you have kids as babies, I remember propping my kids in front of cartoon to keep them quiet. You know what I mean? I'm not realizing that they're absorbing all of those things. So imagine a parent that is never there, and they give them these props to keep them going. That's the formation that the child is going to have, right? And when we were younger, I remember things like Tales by Moonlight on television, programs that people could watch on the Nigerian Television Authority. And then came the liberalization of media. And with liberalization of media, it means there were stronger media outfits who had better content, not necessarily content that suits our families, but better content, better produced content. And so our families went in that direction. Now we are reaping the benefits of that. We're reaping the repercussions of just leaving our children to the media. Who are their role models? Yeah. They're people they pick up in the media. So at the end of the day, who do we blame? The parents, the media, or government? Let me give you something that happened in recent times. There was a program that was very popular in Nigeria. It was called Big Brother Nigeria. Still very popular. It has a market. But Nigerians just didn't like the idea. People didn't identify with it. They felt that the values that were being portrayed in that show went right. They even took the company to court. But you know what the company did? The company designed another program that would speak to the sensitivities of the Africans who were complaining. They started another thing which they called Ultimate Love. I was part of that show. Even Praise was a guest on that show. And people took to it like sponge to water. Why am I giving this as an example? The media is free. You can put whatever you like there, and people can watch whatever they like. But if a people determine the kind of shows they want to promote, they can make government or make an association or make a media house do the right thing. It's not cheap to produce content. Media houses are struggling, trying to get the money that will keep them going. And when they are producing content, it's going to cost money. So as a people, we should understand how important it is what our children see. And so begin to see how we can force government to put the right kind of laws in place, to get the right kind of programming, and put our money where our mouth is. We should begin to put money on productions that will push the kind of values that we want to push. Because our children are a function of what they see, whether it's on digital space or not. We should get into that space and put the kind of content we want them to see. I, for example, was very hesitant about going into social media and being very present in social media. But I told myself, am I going to keep complaining that, people are putting rubbish there without putting what I think is not rubbish? So The media is liberalized now. Parents must understand that they can also use the social media to put the kind of content they want their kids to see. They can control. Praise has said it very nicely. From 0 to 18, you are only creating a manual for your child. That if at 18 you have not put it in your child, you've lost that child. So at those times when we have control over our children, we should be as close to them as possible, monitor the kind of media they're exposed to, support the kind of media we want them to be in, and be part of that media as well. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
When you say support support and be a part of it, in my mind, I'm seeing where daddy and mommy becomes a part of the cast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, that's what's been happening this past 7 to 8 weeks. Daddy and mommy are having to find creative ways to entertain their kids because the kids are climbing up the wall. The parents are climbing up the wall. You told me, you said earlier today, you got into the car to drive away. You could have taken one of the kids, right? And then you be reciting rhymes while you're in the car and you play roles. So, okay, let me be this, let me be that. You know what I mean? And you use role playing to teach them what's important in the family. Yeah. You know what I mean? Spend the time to connect to them. We have to be more involved because it's beyond touching. It's touching their minds, their heads, you know, that's most important. Yeah. And that's what COVID has done to us, that we're not there physically touching people. We can touch people's minds, even our children. We will be forced to listen to them if we are engaging with them on the digital space. That's my thought.
Amazing. Thank you very much, ma'am. But, you know, like Praise also pointed, our first speaker in the keynote speaker, Kunle, also noted in the first session we had this morning, children have access to the internet right now. Even though we create content and we do live content they can relate with here, live content that they can get on the internet, they still have unlimited access, as it were, to pornography and all that. So,
but you can
how can we regulate? Yes, that's the question. I want you to talk a little on that. What's the role of the government agencies? What can we do also as parents to control that?
First of all, how do they get the devices? We buy it for them. At what age do you expose your children to the devices that they have? You know, my first child didn't get her telephone until she was about 15. I mean, that was a while ago because she's 13 now, that's 15 years ago. Thereafter, I allowed each child to have a phone, and it's what we call pure water today. I allowed each child to have a phone. The oldest child would have a phone at age 12, so that when they're going to school, I can have access and contact with them. That's the reason, because I didn't do the school runs. I had the driver do the school runs. There were always 4 kids or 5 kids in the car. So the oldest one had that phone. Now, it does not say that you will be totally in control of what they see, but you would have controlled up to 90%. Because again, the kind of family I had, my kids do not mix just like that without me knowing who they are mixing with. They don't go out to other places. We are many enough. I mean, I had 7 kids, you know, they don't go out. So coming to tell me, oh, this person is doing this, I tell them that this is the way we do it in this house. Was I successful? Maybe. I remember at age, I think my son was about 16, one of my sons, 16 or 16, maybe 15, when I walked in on him and he was watching pornography. He threw it away and he said, Mama, I am sorry, because he knew what he was doing was wrong. I can't control it. When that kind of thing happens, I didn't address it immediately, but later I called him and we had a conversation and I explained to him, like Doctor said earlier, the other panelist on the, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, my dear sister on the panel. She said they have to take Judith, they have to take responsibility for their actions. So at that point, I said, okay, this guy is ready. 15, I told him, this is what it means. I am not saying I can control what you see, but you see, this can be an addiction. When it becomes an addiction, it destroys your future. What is your case? What's your future now? Just finish school set and pass. Why? When you pass, the best you can get is houseboy. So the next thing is to finish university. Maybe the best you can get with that is the proper job, then master. So let's not allow anything distract us. Let's focus on this. It's there, but please don't let it distract you because it can be dangerous. Now, do they trust me? Well, I've given them the responsibility. If you don't do it, you will see the repercussion. So parents should never say, oh, I can't control. They have the access to the internet. What they see, color what they see. Let them know where you stand, because the media is democratized, is liberalized. They can have access, if not in your house, maybe even from your driver, maybe from somewhere. But let them know that these things you're protecting them from, this is why, and this is what could happen. And if it happens, it becomes their responsibility and the repercussions, because really, we can only do so much. Our children will end up doing what they want to do. We hope that what we put in here, they will live it. But if you don't put it there, they don't have something to measure it by. Because I find my older kids, I mean, they're all over 18 now, they come back and say, Mama, you were right. But when I was teaching them, they didn't think I was right.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, going back to something you said much earlier, my son, 7 years, I think it's one of the things that parents can also do. My son is 7, and he comes and he teaches me things that he has seen over on the media. I give him that, I created that environment for him to teach me. And then with that, I'm able to know certain things he consumes that I can probably may not be able to control at the moment when he's doing that, because, their native is digital. So they just pick up the phone. Sometimes you wonder how they hack your password and they get into YouTube and they start watching all sorts, So I think one of the things parents can also do is engage, like you talked, you engage your son in a conversation. I think one of the things parents could do is also engage their children by getting their children to be expressive with the things they learn, and that could be a pointer to what they consume. For instance, tell your child to teach you the latest dance. You will know the kind of music videos he has been watching.
they may not willingly do it. They might be shy, they might be reluctant, but you have to start it off, and it's tedious, it's not funny. You ask them, and some children won't tell you. But what I advise is that, because the media is so wide, let the children, I remember, let the children know what you like. Let them know. You can even watch some of the things that you think are terrible and say, hey, can you imagine? And let them know. Give commentary on these things. That's what I think. Let them know where you stand. They might think you're old school, you're horrible. Let them know where you stand, so that they will know if they're doing this, they're going against their parents' wish. Even if the whole world is going that way, their parents are responsible for how they are engineered for those first 18 years of their lives.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now, do you see the future? What do you see the future of
post-COVID
family life? Yeah. I'm going to come to that here, but we have family life practitioners. Is there a possibility where they can collaborate with media houses? Somehow you think some of these practitioners. When I watch some cartoons, I start to think. I always like to go to the end, and I find out that the script most times are not just written by one person who has this idea. They have research gone into it. So you may see some medical practitioners, some therapists, all becoming a part of creating that script. Do you think that possibility lies here, knowing that in the media space, basically somebody just has an idea of how I married my wife's friend and all those things, and they act part 1, part 2, part 3. That sometimes you're waiting to see where it ends. What do you think? What's the opportunity there?
I think there's also a challenge and opportunity for also content producers. We should begin to create content that actually teaches, right? A content that teaches something, not a content that is just there for what it was. And I will always give the example of the one that I just was part of, which is called Ultimate Love. In some ways, they had all kinds of coaches come and give master classes, and that's the way we need to go. We need to have family life coaches making themselves more available to create content on television. And the television, people who own those media need to be more willing to, because they will charge money. They should begin to say, okay, you know what, for the benefit of creating better families, we need to give some space to make this happen. That's my thinking.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much, ma'am. So basically what you said is the future of 10 years, 20 years from now, the future of the media, the place of the media in family life, 10, 20 years. What's your thought?
You see, the media is no longer the way we know it. It's now digital. Look at what you're doing. We're doing this on Facebook. I think even the family life professionals should come together themselves and create content and put it out there. you know. When you create content and put it out there, we don't have to own brick and mortar these days to be able to do media. So we need to begin to come together and create content that teaches and opens up the space. Very clearly now, COVID has shown that many people need family life practitioners. Whether I want to call them coaches, I want to call them all kinds of things. Many people need that. We all thought we were all doing okay, just going here to there. Now you are closed. The pressures and the anxiety is putting pressure on families, right? So we're realizing that we actually need, before you be afraid, it's like I'm going to talk to a shrink or I have a problem. Hey, everybody has a problem. Hello. So we need to talk to practitioners, professionals who've been taught or who have learned. They will help us make, in those days, maybe in a big family, you have aunties, uncles, family people that will come and help you solve problems. But now we are in cosmopolitan world. So we need family life professionals. We cannot run away from that. That's the truth. And that's what's going to happen in the future. And I believe that the professionals can take advantage of that and also put content on space, drama content, news content, whatever it is, for them, for the general public to enjoy.
So someone who has an interesting content can reach out to you?
Absolutely. We can collaborate and produce. I'll be willing to. I bring all my wealth of experience and we'll do it for as long as, we're doing it. And I believe also corporates should begin to put their money, even if it's not about making money, it's about giving back to the society. So very clearly, I'm game to produce whatever content that would help families be better.
Okay, we have a few minutes left. I just want to ask anyone out there who has questions to please send your questions. Anthea Desua had said she's willing to collaborate. We have Praise back online. We have Julie back online. You heard the conversation. Do you have anything to say? Praise, Julie. Praise, I think your phone, your line is mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, Auntie Adesua. I am most always blown away every time because Auntie Adesua never gets old. She keeps looking younger.
I'm a vampire.
She's been my auntie since forever. And I
our
love
auntie,
the part I love
our auntie.
She's not your auntie, she's my auntie. Okay, the part I love the most was the fact that Auntie Adesua is willing to collaborate to produce content. But Auntie, are there trainings you have? Because I know quite a number of family life professionals who want to get into media and they need some people to coach or mentor or train. Do you have a training program that family life practitioners can get into so that they can learn? Because one of the things we believe at the Institute is there are lots of OAPs, for example, who are dishing out counsel on what they don't understand about relationships. So they just bring out sensational topics and they are giving out counsel and they are misleading people, right? And some are in the past, we've tried to get some of them in the class and on scholarship to even come and learn. But for someone like you, you've stood out over time. Is there a program that you have that people can plug into so that they can even learn maybe a bit of production? Because how you do your stuff, I would not know, but I know you've just been there forever, right? Is there a way, or do we need to even organize the class for you where we can bring people to you and lock you up for like 3 days and get you to train people?
Absolutely. I earn an income on the side teaching corporates and executives, communication strategies and things like that. But guess what? One of the things that COVID has done to me is to develop this program as an online program so that I can share it with other people who want to learn how to be, the way I put it, to be effective in communication, being interview ready, learning how to package something, so package your message and deliver your message. So I'm working on that. And once it's ready, I'll share with you so I can share with your audience and they can be part of it, so that's in the works.
Fantastic. Julie, you have something to say?
And I would advise people who are giving advice for no reason to go and learn from the Institute, because really and truly, no matter what it is that we think we know, everybody needs training. When you're trained, you're better better able to deliver service. So everybody needs training, and training, can be democratized by being online. So we'll get that communication training out there, and people can come and take advantage of it.
All right. Thank you, Auntie Adesua. I recall many years ago, I think that was it 2005, 2006, when I was watching programs. I think you were still doing was it Today's Woman at that time? Yes. I recall I had put a call through to you somehow. Whether I was bored, I don't know, but I put a call through to you and you responded. You were so nice over the phone, receiving a call from a total stranger, and I just told you that I loved your show, and you responded really nice, and you have not changed. I must say you have been amazing. Thank you so much for all that you're doing, and I pretty much like the fact that you have given the light, you've given us the information that we can create content. I mean, the world is what it is now. Everyone has gone, things have gone global. Everyone has gone digital. So content can be provided and then put up there. And also thank you for making yourself available to collaborate. I will sure look out for that training when it's available, because now is the time for those who have substance, those who have undergone training, to get to the fore, to get to the public, so that people can see, because people will respond to those that show up. You have been showing up, and then you're willing to collaborate with people. So for that, it's highly commendable. So I look forward to that training.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, TJ. Thank you, Praise, and thank you for the high praises.
It's
been fun being with you guys.
It's good to let you know,
and I'm happy that I'm
it's good to let you know that I always bought it.
Is TJ there?
I bought not because. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we
can.
Can you hear me? I'm here. Oh, thank you very much. I was saying that it would be interesting to know that I was buying Today's Woman magazine. Don't ask me why I was buying it, but I was buying that magazine
for your wife,
because I wasn't married then anyway. But it's just to say thank you to Adesua. You've been time back. So I just want to say thank you for the session. Obviously, a lot of people have been sending comments, and they have all been excited with your session. I mattered most. That questions are coming because I think you've answered. You answered the questions before they arrive. Okay. So I just want to say a big thank you. We'll be but there's a question here. I'll just throw this question here to everyone here. It says, my son is, though it was directed to Principal Ware, but I'll just put it up for everyone. My son is 6 years old and have been calling himself doctor since age 3. But I realized lately that he likes playing pieces objects. How can I reconcile that?
What your child calls himself, he says he's a doctor. He can become a doctor at picking pieces together, right? Doctor is not just medical. You can become a PhD holder at anything. Why is he calling himself a doctor? Is it because, I called myself a pilot when I was growing up. I eventually went to study accounting because the richest person in our family was an accountant. He was MD of Cooperative Bank. So I thought the only way to become rich was to study accounting, even though I didn't like numbers, right? So from year 1, I knew I was in the wrong course, and I endured the torture of finishing that course, right? So you need to find out why is he calling himself a doctor. So what is calling himself is, once he contradicts what he spends his hand and his time doing, build his potential in the direction of the aptitude is showing. So if he's picking things, so my son, for example, every time we send him to school, he broke his pencil every day. Then later they started calling me that he started breaking his friend's pencil. So I had to go to school to find out why does he break pencil. They said he was always eating it against the table. Then I realized that he was playing drums. So I bought him drumsticks and I started buying a musical instrument, right? He's so much in love with music, right? So you need to observe. Don't take any position yet, just observe, because what your child desire, his interest may change as he grows older. Many of us said pilot because that was all that was available when we were growing up. We said doctor, engineer. I mean, people that grew up in my generation, we didn't know profession more than 4 professions. Is that you're a doctor, engineer, accountant, or a lawyer? We didn't know any other thing, right? But nobody wanted to be a footballer way back. But times have changed, seasons have changed. So just be patient with him. He's way too young, 3 years old. I mean, but observe, and build him in the area of his passion and in his area of his interest.
Well, I think 6.
Someone is saying with your headphones, you're a pilot.
I think 6 is young. I mean, but there's some people, I knew at 9 what I would be, but I didn't know exactly. I knew what I wanted to do, that I wanted to communicate, to get people to understand each other. First, it could be as a teacher to teach, but I always knew that was going to be it. Now, I think what the father needs to do is to ask the son, what does a doctor do? He wants to be a doctor. What does a doctor do? Let him know that there are different types of doctor, like Praise said. There's doctor like Judy, and there's doctor that can go and get PhD at the doctor. So what doctor does he want? Okay, does he know what it takes? While you're watching what he likes to do, but get into his head and understand. I had a daughter who was so sure she wanted to be a mechanical engineer. She was so sure, I'm going to be a mechanic. Today she's studying law. Because when she realized, because at that point, it was just like, because that is mechanical engineer, engineering is good, everybody, this is my last time. But eventually, going somewhere that she saw something, she naturally likes to speak, talk. And she likes to settle disputes. And I always told her, this is what, but by herself. She found out that, okay, this is my area. And said, look, let me go and try. And she's found out that that's what she loves. So they can start. 6 is early, please. Julie, what do you think?
There's something that I usually tell parents, that our children, we may be their biological parents, we may be older than them, we may think that we have lots of experience than these little ones, but I think that these are treasures sent to us to reschool us. So let's not be in a hurry to think that this is what they want to be and start getting ourselves into that confused state if we see them doing something contrary to what they keep confessing. So why not just take a pause? Why not just step backward a little bit and observe? You have a whole life ahead of them to observe. So if they say today they want to be a doctor, note it down and then start watching. Watch their behavior, watch the things they see, watch what tickles their interest. Then if they start acting, take notes again, drop it down. Okay, they like picking toys. Just record it somewhere. Then you might discover that when he gets to 7, it changes. When he gets to 8, it changes. So what you have recorded, you might see a pattern. They are telling us, they're inviting us into their world. So we will just become students. At this stage, they are the teachers. Yeah. So parents, let's not be all super parents. We are the one wanting to teach our children, but our children come to teach us a whole lot of things. So why not take that approach as well? I would recommend. So once they're teaching you, oh, okay, you can confess to want to be a doctor at age 6. Okay, I've taken notes. And then he gets to 7. Oh, he wants to be a police officer. Okay, I've taken notes. They could change at 7. And then at 8, oh, he's fixing things. I'm being, okay, where is this leading? So get curious and ask questions. Okay, so why are you picking things? Like what my son does. He's 6, and he said something about being. He said something about being a pilot. I've been asking him, but he's not come up with something straight, and I just let him be. But what I observed that he's doing, he's fixing things. He could invent things. So he would tell you that this is a puzzle maker. And he names them. So and I'm just watching. At this stage, at this point, I'm a student. He is the teacher. And I'll just keep taking notes. And then when the time comes, he will lead me eventually. Of course, I believe in God. I know there's an assignment for him. And at the end of the day, would marry those two things together and come up with something unique.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. That is to ask that every parent watching.
CJ.
Yeah, TJ.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I was saying I want to ask.
See, we have outnumbered you guys.
If your dad should.
So
hello.
The men are kicking you guys out of here, man. So let's move.
Looks like TJ's network is.
To talk a little bit. Yeah, it keeps going off and coming in, but it's good. It's part of the threat. But there's an opportunity for us to come together and fund one company to do better in providing this network service. Okay, so Dima, welcome back. Basically, I just want us to talk about IFED that has trained over 300 family life practitioners. What are our programs? What are the opportunities? Are there threats? And learn and get themselves ready to support families during the COVID and also post-COVID. Over to you, Dima and Praise.
Dima, over to you.
Are we saying
You're the
bye-bye
director
to
of
all?
studies.
Okay, lovely hearing you speak, Auntie Adeswa. Lovely nuggets you shared. I'm excited to be learning under you. Thank you, ma. And I'm talking about the Institute of Family Engineering and Development. We're glad that over the years that we have been training people, we've trained close to 500 practitioners who have gone out to help families to navigate the challenges they are having and build better family systems towards promoting their well-being and then giving the world peace at large. And like TJ asked, what are the opportunities and what are the threats? One of the threats of family life is that we understand that people are doing the best they know with the resources they have. But sometimes out of the passion to help people, we see passionate family life helpers who may be damaging the lives of the people they intend to help because they do not have the tools and the resources to correctly diagnose what is happening in such families and in such homes. And thereby, they're just giving generalizations and advices. But with the tools of the family systems engineering, we don't just give advices. We first of all go to the background to start to find out what the issues are. Sometimes I give the metaphor of giving someone painkillers when the person has a headache, indicate the error that could come from just jumping in and giving advice. So supposing somebody comes to you and the person complains of headache, what do? Some people will say, oh, take paracetamol. Some people will say, drink water. Some people will just start rushing into giving palliatives and giving measures that we think can help. But it could just be nice to pause and ask the person simple questions like, when last did you drink water? When last did you have a good sleep? When last did this happen? And the more questions you ask, the more you can actually pinpoint what is happening. And that is what is amazing about the tools that we have developed in the Institute. And people use these tools to diagnose cases. And the feed forward has always been amazing that, oh, this tools just lets me know what is happening. Do you have a screenshot into my life? Are you sure my partner has not been chatting you privately? People are amazed at the accuracy of the psychometric tools that we deploy and the
Looks like Dima
at the institute, and which we have all
Dima network seems frozen. Okay, so let me just help Dima to continue what she's saying, that what we have done is with the tools we've developed, and these are tools that we've developed over the last 11 years, thereabout. The Institute is a little above 6 years old, and is been approved by the Lagos State Ministry of Education as a vocational center for training family life professionals. And so you are in good hands, because one of the tools that we deliver to you is a 4-way psychometry tools. It's a tool that we've taken, even to the US. It was one of the session I did at the Family Life Coaching Association Conference in North Carolina last year, and it was really mind-blowing that the list I scored after my presentation was a 7/10, right? To say this is very effective at helping people. One of the major mistakes people make in getting a life partner is the fundamental mistakes of allowing emotions to just run their choices. Now, but what the psychometry tools does is it shows you exactly where you're coming from. It shows you the challenges in your life. It shows you some of the self-sabotaging patterns that you have, and it shows you who you truly should be, right? And that's one of the things that you get when it comes to the Institute. You become accurate at deploying family life solutions that can be deployed in any culture of the world. We do not train people to function in Africa. We train them to function across the globe. So over a period of time, we've had our graduates who now work with what they've learned in Canada. We've had some of them in the UK. We had some of them in the US. We've had some of them, all over the world. We have some in Cameroon. Good news is before post-COVID, we've already actually scaled online. So now you can actually take these courses from the comfort of your room. We will attach, and there's always an instructor attached to you, and you can take it at your own pace. Good thing is you can pay once, or you can even start your journey with as low as 30,000 naira. So you can see this link that has been streamed over time, ifedacademy.com/webinar. If you use that link and put up a registration, they'll send you all the details you need to know about the course and why you need to take this course. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise the most effective professionals humanity deserves. We believe that humanity do not deserve people with native intelligence. They've tried, they've done well, but we need to move beyond native intelligence to begin to create data-based solution that can help us predict accurately what the future holds. So many of the clients that we have worked with, something is coming out fundamentally clear, that many of the family crises is what we call beliefs misalignment, right? And we have a beliefs assessment that shows the area of discrepancies between your beliefs and your spouse's belief. We say that marriage is the coming together of a man and a woman from two different nations to create a new nation that will promote the best interest of all and whose culture will give our world rest. That the culture that produced you and your wife is always what is clashing, right, in your marriage. But you need to do a cultural alignment and agree on the kind of family you want to build. But before I go on, Dima, there was a question on the screen. Did you see it? And I think you should answer that question. There was a question on the screen before now of my daughter used to talk. She wanted to be a medical doctor, but lately she started drawing all by herself without anybody teaching her. The father is saying that he's confused. Okay, I think that's the question. So, Dima, you want to respond to that question, please?
Okay, so the question says, my daughter argues a lot at home. I thought she would be a lawyer, but lately she started drawing without being taught, and confused. So also are the teachers in school. She's in JS3. And thank you, Mr. Temitope, for sending in that question. And like we have reiterated in this conference, one of the powers that you have as a parent is the power of observation. And whilst you're observing your child, you need to be focused on the reason for observation. Your child, even in JS3, should be between the ages of probably 12 to 14. And so this is the stage where the child is still exploring and asking questions, trying to identify purpose, trying to get clarity on what should my life be about, what do I want to do? And what you need to do, like Julie shared earlier, is to be there, be available, not because you want to fix the child into a particular box, but you just want to go along the process with the child. And with each interest that your child shows, Be supportive, provide the resources. Sometimes parents are like, oh, she wants to be a doctor, and I'm bringing all of the tools and resources and spending money to help her towards that direction. And the next day she wants to learn how to draw. Am I supposed to channel the scarce resources there? That is part of what it is. Your work as a parent is to train, and training is to fine-tune, is to observe and to help that child. So the child even is on a journey of self-discovery. And not to scare you, the way parents handle the different interests that their children show can lead to some identity crisis. Children at this age where they're trying to find themselves can get into identity crisis, particularly where their parents are not supportive. So what you need to do is to create an enabling environment. PK talked about it in the keynote address, where he talked about the concept of borderlessness. Let your home be a home that is nurturing, a home that is forward moving, a home that is growth enabling. So the child is showing interest in drawing now. Give all the support. Provide secure attachment. Let the child feel heard. Let her feel seen. Let her feel suited. Let her feel safe to explore the drawing. And if tomorrow she comes and she no longer wants to explore drawing, by all means, also provide the support, because even the child is on a journey of evolution. She's on a journey of discovering herself, and your work as a parent is to support her on that journey. And like Praise shared about the Family Systems Engineering certification, we've gone online, and you can start to take the training from as little as 30,000. So you can take the training section by session. So if you just have 30,000, you can log in and register and start your training, because the tools that we are teaching at the Family Systems Engineering certification course has really been the difference maker for over 500 practitioners that we have trained through this approach. And it's critical to also know, whilst these tools can help you in your work professionally, get ready, it's going to help you in your lives and with your families. Because first of all, you become the person who can embody these tools, and then you can confidently use it to assist other families as well. So someone is saying, amazing discussions. We can make our children explore different interesting things they love at the moment, and as they grow, they make their choices. Yes, yeah, you prayerfully guide them and then agree with them. Everyone is creating content at the same time. So Praise, how do you feel about this conference so far? What are your thoughts right now?
Oh, I'm very excited. I think this has been the best conference for me. COVID has really helped us, and it's up the game. The fact that we can do this and pull this off, it's so. I mean, I've taken notes. My notes is packed. I'm going to listen to this over and over again, and see the areas I need to even work on and adjust. You can never know everything. So I picked a lot. I love the teaching style of Dr. Margaret, a lecturer indeed, right? Very, very articulate. Then I love the boisterous nature of PK, and everyone, I picked a lot of lessons. And I think, the future is very interesting. And like we say that we're not just building a brand that is Nigerian brand at the level of the institute. Our plan is to actually be able to assist the rest of the world, take this model to the rest of the world and assist them, because there are nations where 50% marriage is bound to end in divorce. There are nations it's as high as 70%. But there's a country that is 83% right now. So it means something is fundamentally wrong. And if we have the solution as Africans, we will not believe that our solution is inferior simply because we are Africans. It's potent. We believe it works. And it's been, tried across different culture, and it has proven to be effective. So we believe that with time, already we have 2 people from America taking family system engineering online. We have 2 people from Cameroon, taking the same course online. So gradually, surely, we're spreading. Maybe, Dima, maybe next year's conference is going to go beyond African Family Life Delegate Conference. Maybe it's going to be the Global Family Life Delegate Conference, so that we can have people from other continents of the world join us, and we can also try to understand what they're doing, because the world is going to shrink. It's going to be borderless. It means that we can have people from all over the world join this conference and, begin to talk about how we can restore peace and tranquility back to our world through effective family system.
I hear you. I hear you, PF. And as you were talking, I was smiling because actually my notes are filled with a lot of insights starting from the morning. And you just shared a thought that has been resonating with me because it was saying that we need to go multicultural, then we are going to be opening the conference beyond Africa to bring in other cultures as well. But what I'm feeling right now, the emotion that is coming up for me at the end of this conference is some feelings of gratitude. I hear things right from the beginning when we started with the things that Kunle Shoriyo shared in the keynote address, and down to every wonderful panelist and speaker that has spoken. It just fills me with gratitude that at the Institute, we're doing well. I mean, some of the insights they shared are things we already have in the works. Like, for example, the topic for this year's conference was fixed even before COVID. So we had the foresight that the future was already here. And like you shared when you were giving your speech, even in the trainings, we project what the world will be like in 2040. So at the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, we were already in that future. And so when we're sharing insights about the future, I just feel grateful to be part of this team. I feel grateful to be part of this movement. And I know that posterity will remember all of us as people who contributed to making not just Africa, but the world at large a better place. So thank you everyone for being a part of this transformative experience.
Someone is asking a question, Ushla Ibrahim. Can certified life practitioners also be called family life coaches? I don't understand what that means. Are you talking about certified family life practitioners? If that's what you mean, maybe you have taken a family system engineering certification program. Yes, you can be a family life coach, because the tools we give you is partly coaching, partly strategy, and partly counseling, right? So it goes beyond coaching, it goes into strategy, and it has a bit of counseling in it. So, but if that means if you are talking about certified family life practitioner, but if what you're saying is they're just a certified life practitioner, I don't know what that means really. I'm just assuming your question, and I hope I've answered that question. Someone is saying, I couldn't be.
Some light to that question. He asked certified life practitioners if they can be family life coaches. So probably the body of knowledge is talking about is life coaching. And so there are two different life body of knowledges. So if you're a certified life practitioner and you want to help families navigate their lives and move forward, then you need to take the Family Systems Engineering Certification course, because the curriculum and the approach is targeted at family life, which is a little bit different from the generic life coaching that you may be certified in.
Okay, thank you. I can see people joining us from America. Someone says Kumbi is saying, I think Kumbi is taking FSC at the moment from the US as well. I can see people from Cameroon and from different countries of the world, UAE. Thank you everyone for joining. Okay, we give it away to TJ, who wants to talk to us about the family game that will happen post-conference. When is our dinner happening, or is it going to be electronic dinner?
Zoom dinner.
Oh, looks like TJ's network is bad. Dima, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but TJ was singing, or it was.
No, something is.
My name is Kingsley Onoha.
Day 6 FSC. Tomorrow I become an associate. In finance, we learned this amazing method, the JAR method, something I never knew. Our emotions control our spending.
We're meant to understand concerning sex that people are meant to enjoy sex.
Sex is not a mystery or a cult to be pushed behind.
Today we learned about vision, how to talk about your vision, your mission for a family.
How can we make Nigeria better? Starts with the family.
The class has been very friendly, very awakening, you know.
I am so grateful for this course.
I'm so happy that I came for this course. The Family System Engineering Certification course. Glad I'm part of this course.
FSC, it's been a full circle. with better understanding in relating with my fellow brothers.
We are global heroes. We rise!
Amazing memories, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I can't forget those memories dancing in class, wearing cross-cultural, cross-religious uniform and what have you. You know, it was. Okay, TJ's mic is still having issues. Okay, so let me make an announcement that TJ was supposed to make. We're going to have a family game at the end of this conference, and the best family. So if you follow our social media and those, you will say it. Your family is supposed to do a dance or something. There's a first prize, second prize, third prize. We want to see the family that can dig it the most. So what you do is going to be in the flyer on the social media and do so. You can go there. After now, from tomorrow, you can begin to send in your entries. Our panel of judges will tell you you can win as much as I think it's 50 gig or of data. Second prize is about 30 gig, and I think third prize is 20 gig. All right. But they will tell you what to do in the instructions. So it's a family game. We want to see, how your family is coping during this COVID period and what you guys are doing together. Right. So please join us in that game. I want to appreciate everyone who has joined us for this conference. I want to really say we're grateful for the gifts of you from the committee that has worked behind the scene, led by Malam Ibrahim Diko. Thank you very much. And the entire team who worked ceaselessly behind the scene. I must not thank Dayo Samuel. Dayo has been the engineer behind everything you're saying
Amazing,
today.
Brian.
You have not seen his face, but he has made everything happen. Or Dayo leads Audacity to Lead. And Audacity to Lead is one of the top IT firms in Nigeria. I even think Dayo is one of the best people when it comes to building platform, right? So you might want to patronize Dayo Samuel. I know he has a whole lot of things coming up. Dayo, thank you so much for being selfless with your wife, Fisayo, to put, Fisayo literally took the conference upon herself and she ensured that everything went well. We really are grateful. Both of them are certified family systems engineering practitioners. We're grateful for all the IFED alumni. We thank every one of you, from our president, Mommy Mo. Thank you everyone for all that you have done for the Institute. We will be back again next year, God's willing. I'll give it up to TJ or to the head of studies, Dima Unwobi. Maybe she has a final word before we call it a day for this year's conference.
Okay, I'm praiseful. I thank you for that honor. And so my final word would be, you've been with us, you've seen the opportunities and the threats that our families would face. Now I say, go live your reality, go live your truth. Remember, the future is still in the future. And for you to make the future, you have to be intentional about the present. In all, what are you taking away from this conference? And particularly, what would you start doing differently in your families to internalize your learnings and to prepare your family for the future? That will be my closing remark. And see you next year when we will be hosting the Global Family Life Delegate Conference 2021.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So Dima already confirmed it. It's going to be Global Family Life Delegate Conference next year. I can't wait to be there, and I'll see you there by God's grace. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you next year. Dayo, take it away. God bless you all. We love you from the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, and hopefully we'll see you in class either online or offline. Bye.
Thank you.
You need to have ethos, you need to have values, you need to have vision. We don't have any of those. So if you don't have any of those things, how do you say you exist?
I'm glad to be here. I must say that I've gained a lot.
My experience has been fantastic, has been wonderful.
It's an experience that every family, which is considered a nation here, should experience.
Just like I said, when they asked me that one thing about the whole course, I tell them reconstruction.
I've learned some specific things. One of them being that a man is a function of the raw material with which he was built.
One of the things I also learned is how in marriage there is a battle of culture. There's a conflict of culture.
Our background, our environment, and our experiences in life actually determines the stakes at which we are now.
Day 2. So how was yesterday?
It's been very interesting.
It's been a very wonderful experience for me. We also did a session on quantum leap, which was quite very deep.
Yesterday they did start off by telling us that we have to work on ourselves first before we can try to help other people.
I learned about overt and covert agenda, questioned a lot of what you've always believed, makes you question who you are, makes you question your perceptions.
Today has been very enlightening for me, very reflective. It's very funny. Looking back, I've always known that fear was something that was stopping me from doing what I fully want to do or what I feel like I can actually do. And to have it broken down to how even your brain works and how your brain has programmed you, what socialization does, that blew my mind. Day 2. So how was yesterday? It's been very interesting.
It's been a very wonderful experience for me. We also did a session on quantum leap, which was quite very deep.
Yesterday they did start off by telling us that we have to work on ourselves first before we can try to help other people.
I learned about overt and covert agenda, questioned a lot of what you've always believed, makes you question who you are, makes you question your perceptions.
Today has been very enlightening for me, very reflective. It's very funny. Looking back, I've always known that fear was something that was stopping me from doing what I fully want to do or what I feel like I can actually do. And to have it broken down to how even your brain works and how your brain has programmed you, what socialization does, that blew my mind.
For a nation to exist, you need to have ethos, you need to have values, you need to have vision. For a nation to exist, you need to have ethos, you need to have values, you need to have vision. We don't have any of those. So if you don't have any of those things, how do you say you exist?
I'm glad to be here. I must say that I've gained a lot.
My experience has been fantastic, has been wonderful.
It's an experience that every family, which is considered a nation here, should experience.
Just like I said, when they asked me that one thing about the whole course, I tell them reconstruction.
I've learned some specific things. One of them being that a man is a function of the raw material with which he was built.
One of the things I also learned is how in marriage there is a battle of culture. There's a conflict of culture.
Our background, our environment, and our experiences in life actually determines the stakes at which we are now.
My name is Bumi Shonde.
My name is Kingsley Onoha.
Day 6 FSC. Tomorrow I become an associate. In finance, learned this amazing method, JAR method, something I never knew. Our emotions control our spending.
We're meant to understand concerning sex that people are meant to enjoy sex.
Sex is not a mystery or a cult to be pushed behind.
Today we learned about vision, how to talk about your vision, your mission for a family.
How can we make Nigeria better? Starts with the family.
The class has been very friendly, very awakening, you know.
I am so grateful for this course.
I'm so happy that I came for this course. The Family System Engineering Certification course. Glad I'm part of this course.
FSC, it's been a full circle with better understanding in relating with my fellow brothers.
We are global heroes. We rise!
Nigeria's call, obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain.
My name is Bumi Shonde.
My name is Kingsley Onoha.
Day 6 FSC. Tomorrow I become an associate. In finance, we learned this amazing method, the JAR method, something I never knew. Our emotions control our spending.
We're meant to understand concerning sex that people are meant to enjoy sex.
Sex is not a mystery or a cult to be pushed behind.
Today we learned about vision, how to talk about your vision, your mission for a family.
How can we make Nigeria better? Starts with the family.
The class has been very friendly, very awakening, you know.
I am so grateful for this course.
I'm so happy that I came for this course. The Family System Engineering Certification course. Glad I'm part of this course.
FSC, it's been a full circle with better understanding in relating with my fellow brothers.
We are global heroes. We